Hello, hello. Welcome back to Shatter Our Souls with vhard. Today, we are tackling Super Smash Bros. 64 on the hardest difficulty for its what was originally single-player mode. It is now considered classic mode. And truth be told, Link here was one of the hardest. And I questioned that for a long time. Why would Link be harder than your average character? And I think there's a couple good, easy, simplistic reasons for it. The first of which is that he is considered a low-tier character. One of the worst, actually, second only to Luigi. But I suppose that's only part of the problem. His main issue is Link is heavy. And I'm not referring to it as, or as anything worse than other characters like Donkey Kong. But Link has a heavier weight due to all of his equipment and less power behind him than other characters like Captain Falcon or Donkey Kong had on hand at that point in time. This effectively means that Link struggles to deal a KO strike comparatively to the other Smash Bros. Characters, but also had an issue where it was, once Link was off the arena, it's pretty hard for Link to recover. So these two issues in and of itself made Link probably the hardest character so far to get to the point that it has taken me a solid month and a half of attempts on this challenge just to get one successful run. And that seems absurd to me. Why would it take so long? And the reality is that I'm just not all that good at the game to begin with. But sometimes with a little bit of determination and a lot of luck, the run can be made possible. And part of that is that it took time to change up the strategy. Typically, I am very much a DPS race type of player. And generally, if I'm not attacking, I am attacking. And so, in some capacity or another, a lot of people that I play against tend to get to the ideology that I am a decent player, but it's because I throw reckless abandon at virtually everything I come across. Link in this did not have the means of reckless abandon being thrown at everything as a feasible solution. And you'll catch a lot more item usage than I think most of my other characters' success runs have had. And it comes down to Link is simply just not that type of character, and it's taken a long time to actually get to the point of a successful run because of that. So, looking at Link nowadays, compared to the version that we started with, a lot of the abilities actually have stayed relatively the same. While the slashes in the neutral system are pretty well have changed quite dramatically, the rest of the main attack kit has mostly remained intact. There are a couple oddballs here and there, but generally speaking, Link plays the same today as he did 30 years ago. I feel old. Anywho, knowing that Link hasn't changed much at all, what has changed? What has improved? What has, I suppose, gotten worse? Well, one of the first things that you're going to notice is that Link in Ultimate no longer has the grapple. At least I think he has no grapple. I could be wrong on that. Secondly, the bombs have changed for remote detonation bombs. And sometimes I think that the original timed delay bombs were better, and sometimes I think that the remote detonation bombs are better. And I guess it really depends on the circumstance and your playstyle. But how do I put this? The timed delay bombs were great for people that wanted to use it for recovery and planning attack around their bomb timing, effectively using Link as a spacer, which spacing is a huge part of Super Smash Bros. As a whole. What the difference between the two of them ends up being is that Link either has more spacing tools or has more control, I'll call it, where you can effectively set a bomb in a location that is advantageous and hope to knock the opponent into it. And sometimes I find this works great. Sometimes I question whether or not I'm losing my sanity. And both is good. No, you are not getting that bomb today, Ouija. And that's all she wrote for the Mario Brothers. So far we have completed 4 rounds, with Pikachu next in line for the takedown. The Pikachu battle has kind of has been a little bit of a questionable one at times. I have found that many times the AI of the Pikachu battle doesn't really hold its own in any, I'll call it consistent fashion, being one that is relatively it's questionable. Sometimes you get a lucky one where the Pikachu will fly off the edge of an arena while trying to recover, and sometimes you'll get caught in the middle of a circumstance that there is no functional way around. And then you got beasts like Donkey Kong. Now, DK is, well, DK has extreme hyper armor. This means that almost anything, including smash attacks at low percent, do next to nothing to him. And that's going to be a problem going forward, as it doesn't matter really what you throw at him for now, until he hits about 200%. He's going to shrug it off. And that's kind of the big problem with Donkey Kong as a giant battler. He's a big target, but that big target really doesn't mean much. And so what I've found is that typically the goal is to get him about to 200 damage and then eventually hit him with a bomb. Doesn't have to be anything special. It could be a remote bomb. It could be a pressure sensor bomb. It could be a bomb that just so happens to run in the right location. All of the above work. Donkey Kong will fall to the kaboom. And aside from Link's bombs, that's really all there is to this particular enemy, is just DPS race. Unfortunately, today is not a easy DPS race. That, and I'm too terrified to chase after him, because if I get hit by anything while off the stage, I'm pretty well hooplawed. And if I get hit by anything on the stage, I'm pretty well hooplawed. And yeah. Anyway, on to the next battle. Round 7 is the Kirby Tube. It's become a common solution, or common haha recently, to try to aim for ranks. For those that know, for those that don't, Kirby ranks is when you defeat the Kirbys in the order that they spawn. So Mario, in this case, the Mario hat, Donkey Kong, Link, etc., etc. And this works for the most part. In this case, it would be Samus followed by Yoshi. So, it's more of a little mini challenge that you can throw on top of things that really sets this particular round apart. And ranks is lost. That's okay. But I find that Kirby Ranks is one of those challenges that actually is both fun and feasible to pull off. And I think that's kind of one of the beautiful things about this particular round, is there's that optional challenge on top of the round itself. I'm not liking the odds here. With 3 lives left at the end of the Kirby team, that leaves 3 lives. 1 for taking down Metal Mario. 1 life for the Polygon team, and the final life for taking on Master Hand. And truth be told, I'd like a little bit more space for this. It is possible, but it is not looking good at this moment in time. And truthfully, I'd like to get to the end with 1 life, with all 5 lives intact. That's just not something that I find very feasible most of the time. There's always something that happens. Anywho, Samus is absolutely demolishing Link today. And again, it comes down to the character's weight and his speed. Link is spending more time recovering than most other characters do. And that results in, effectively, a juggle fest for Samus. And while juggling is a lot of fun, I personally just kinda don't want to get juggled. Anywho, Samus has left us with 2 lives left. And once again, it's not looking healthy. And the good news is there are solutions to some of the battles going forward. Oh, hi Hitmonlee. And full power. Totally planned. Yep, definitely. There was not a smidgen of luck to that. Now, the trick to Metal Mario is to walk over to the side and let him do that. The downward spin attack on the corner of the arena causes Metal Mario to fall at an accelerated rate. This is exactly what you want to see. Because if he falls at in that spot, it's game over. He has no time to recover after said attack, leaving him effectively defenseless for the entirety of this portion of the battle. And again, that's kind of what we want. Because if I'm being completely real, hammer time, I truthfully believe that the Metal Mario battle is kind of unfair. In that it's a second enemy that has next to no flinch. And while the game has ways around fighting Metal Mario, healing too. They're few and far between. So, generally, I find fighting Metal Mario mano-a-mano is just not feasible, and that alternative options need to be considered. This is, of course, what leads to the, I suppose, cheese strap of defeating Metal Mario. And Meowth just saved the day, mostly. It's okay. 1 life remains, 15 more enemies to defeat. How could possibly go wrong? In all honesty, the 30 opponents of the Polygon team aren't exactly the hardest out there. they are all more or less one-hit knockouts by design. And as long as your character has some means of an AoE attack, area effect, sorry, you're pretty well golden. But finding that perfect area of effect attack is sometimes easier than others. And you'll find with the final run, whenever I actually manage to complete it, that these guys are an absolute bane of my existence during that battle. Because the last character to complete this run will be Jigglypuff. And Jigglypuff has next to no area of effect. It is all very close range attacks. This is a blessing and a curse. It is a blessing because it means that there's nothing necessarily special or difficult to execute. But it does, however, mean that there's next to nothing that can be done to prevent the attack or prevent taking damage either, because most enemies have a larger range than Jigglypuff ever will. And while Jiggles has some ridiculous abilities in melee, in Smash 64, Jigglypuff really doesn't hold its own very well. At least based on my prior experience playing the game. And I might get people refuting my statement. This is always a possibility. There are always people who are going to find that my statements don't necessarily fit. But I have to be as honest as I can with what I personally experience. Anywho. Master Hand, once you get here, theoretically should be an easy battle. I say theoretically because it only takes one flub up and the run is over. But as it goes, right? And this is one of those times where everything kind of just comes together. 12, 2 HP, and done. With that, 11 of the 12 original Smash Bros. Characters have finished the Super Smash Bros. 64 very hard clear. Oy vey. One more. If you like what you see, drop a like, leave a subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Until then, be good to one another, and have a good one.